The stars stretched endlessly across the void, shining like countless diamonds scattered on black velvet. Humanity had only recently stepped fully into the galactic stage, but Earth's people had always dreamed of the stars. Now the Galactic Council, a massive alliance of alien civilizations, was holding its yearly summit, and humanity had been invited. Though the invitation was genuine in words and practice, many council members still regarded humans as impulsive and weak, a species not yet ready for true influence. Commander Ilara Vance sat in the observation deck of the human flagship, Horizon's Edge, staring at the swirling nebulae beyond. Her uniform was crisp, her posture perfect, but her eyes betrayed her tension. She had served in Earth's space fleet for over 15 years, rising through the ranks because of her tactical mind and unshakable courage. Now she faced a different kind of challenge: diplomacy among beings whose motives were often as opaque as the far side of a black hole. "This is unsettling," said Lieutenant Kale Moreno, a young officer who had served under Ilara for 3 years. His gaze followed hers to the nebula. "I've studied the Council for years, but seeing them in person, it's intimidating." Ilara nodded slightly, her mind elsewhere. Intimidation is exactly what some of them hope for. But humans have something they underestimate. We don't always follow the rules they expect. And that unpredictability can be our strength. Kyle frowned. "Do you really think they'll listen to us?" Ilara's lips curved in a faint, confident smile. "Listening isn't the goal. Respect is. And we earn respect the same way we always have, through action, ingenuity, and courage." The human delegation had arrived at the central hub of the Council's space station, a colossal structure that orbited a neutron star in a system chosen for its neutrality. Alien ships of every shape and size hovered nearby, from crystalline vessels that pulsed with energy to sleek metallic forms that seemed almost liquid in motion. The Council itself was vast, representing dozens of species, each with its own culture, language, and technology. Humanity, still young by galactic standards, had the smallest delegation. As Ilara and her team entered the Grand Council chamber, the murmurs of alien voices fell silent. Eyes, some with multiple pupils, others glimmering with bioluminescence, watched the humans carefully. For the first time, humans felt the full weight of being seen as outsiders in a galaxy that considered itself civilized. High above the chamber, a giant holographic display projected the agenda for the summit. The first item concerned the allocation of a rare energy crystal mined from a distant asteroid belt, a resource essential for faster-than-light travel and critical for several council races. Humans had been assigned a minor role, simply observing the negotiation and ensuring their colonies adhered to newly suggested trade regulations. Ilara's jaw tightened. She could see the subtle intention behind it. The Council was not just ignoring humanity. It was testing them, setting limits under the guise of inclusion. The presiding counselor, a tall, silvery-skinned being named Tharix, opened the session. His voice resonated in the chamber, not with aggression but with the calm authority that comes from centuries of unchallenged power. "Welcome, delegates," Tharix said. "We are pleased to have the human species among us, even as you are young and curious. Let us proceed with the business of the Council." The words were polite, but Ilara recognized the condescension hidden within. Curious, they called humans. Not capable, not skilled, curious. That was the first subtle slight of many. Over the next hours, human representatives listened as alien delegates negotiated trade routes, resource rights, and expansion plans. Every few minutes, council members would glance at the human delegates with amusement or mild pity, whispering among themselves in languages humans did not understand. The atmosphere was tense, and for humans, the weight of being underestimated was both frustrating and motivating. After the session, Ilara walked to a quieter observation corridor, Kyle at her side. "They think we are naive," she said quietly, her eyes fixed on a distant star cluster. "They think we will follow their rules without question. They think we are predictable." Kale shook his head. "And are we?" Ilara turned to him, her eyes burning with determination. "Not even close. That's why they will never see us coming. Humanity has always thrived in impossible situations. We adapt, we learn, and we act." The next day, humans were assigned to inspect a trade hub near the mining site of the energy crystal. On the surface, the work seemed routine. auditing shipments, checking protocols, ensuring that trade practices were fair. But Ilara had been briefed by Earth's intelligence agencies. Some council members planned to quietly seize human colonies in the next expansion cycle. It was subtle, hidden behind legal regulations, but the intent was clear. As the human team began their inspection, Ilara noticed signs that the aliens had underestimated them again. Certain security protocols were outdated. Key monitoring devices were designed to detect conventional tactics, not the adaptive methods humans had developed. In other words, the Council had left openings, probably unconsciously, but openings nonetheless. Ilara made a note in her datapad. "Opportunities are always where others are blind," she murmured. Kyle watched her, a mix of awe and concern on his face. That evening, the human delegation gathered in a small recreation room aboard the station. Despite the grandeur of the Council and the pressures of the summit, humans sought small comforts: the smell of brewed coffee, the taste of warm bread, the sound of familiar music. It was a reminder of who they were, why they fought, and what they would protect. Ilara addressed her team. "The Council sees us as weak and inconsequential. That is their mistake. They measure power only in size, in age, and tradition. But humans have something they cannot understand: imagination, courage, and the drive to survive against any odds." A young engineer, Lyra, raised a question. "Commander, what if they actually try to push us out? Take our colonies?" Ilara's expression hardened. "Then they will see the true strength of humanity. But for now, we observe, we learn, and we prepare. Patience is our first weapon." Meanwhile, across the station, alien delegates whispered among themselves. Many underestimated the humans entirely, but not all. Some observed quietly, curious at how humans carried themselves with quiet confidence despite their small numbers. Even in their subtlety, humans were commanding attention. As night, or what passed for night on the station, fell, Ilara returned to her quarters. She looked at the star-filled void, thinking of Earth, her homeworld. Humanity had survived countless hardships, from natural disasters to internal conflicts. Now, on the galactic stage, the same qualities, resilience, courage, and ingenuity, would define their future. Ilara closed her eyes briefly, envisioning the challenges ahead. The Council might see humans as weak, but the truth was far different. They were a young species, yes, but one with the ability to rise against overwhelming odds. The spark of humanity, she knew, was more dangerous than any weapon the Council could imagine. In the quiet of her quarters, she whispered to herself, "Let them underestimate us. Let them think we are curious but harmless. The moment they cross the line, they will see humanity's true strength." The stars outside twinkled, silent witnesses to the fragile peace. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and dangers alike, but humanity was ready. They had entered this stage not merely as observers, but as players, unpredictable, clever, and unyielding. And somewhere deep in the Council chambers, unseen by human eyes, murmurs of caution began to ripple through the ranks. For the first time, some Council members wondered if they had misjudged these strange young humans entirely. The fragile peace, it seemed, was only the beginning. The next day, the Galactic Council reconvened in the massive chamber that seemed to stretch farther than the eye could see. Humans, seated at their designated area, were acutely aware of the subtle shifts in energy around them. Some alien species whispered behind claws, antennae, or glowing eyes. Others studied the humans openly, as though trying to measure their potential. Humanity had never felt more visible, and yet more underestimated. Commander Ilara Vance adjusted her uniform and glanced at her team. Lieutenant Cale Moreno sat beside her, eyes scanning the chamber nervously. "They're planning something," he said softly. "I can feel it," Ilara nodded. "Yes, they always think in small steps, careful moves, and hidden motives. But humans are unpredictable. That's exactly why we survive." The counselor presiding over the session, Theric, spoke again, his voice calm but with an unmistakable edge. "We have discussed expansion regulations. The human delegation, as a young member, will adhere to these protocols. Certain star systems near the outer rim will remain restricted to your species. You may explore, but only under strict Council supervision." A murmur of discontent ran through the human group. The words seemed polite, yet they were a deliberate provocation. The Council wasn't just restricting humans. They were trying to control them, keep them weak and dependent. Ilara stood, her posture firm. With respect, Counselor Theric, she said, these restrictions hinder not only human colonies but also potential cooperation with other species. We ask that you reconsider their severity. Some alien council members chuckled softly. The humans' insistence seemed naive to them, but Alara held her ground, her voice steady and clear. Humanity seeks not to dominate but to explore. Restricting our movement only delays progress for all. Therix's silver eyes glimmered, a mixture of curiosity and irritation. Your spirit is noted, human, but the Council prioritizes stability. Expansion without oversight leads to chaos. The young species must learn patience, Kale whispered under his breath. Patience is what they always say before they try to take everything from you. Alara's expression hardened. Then it is patience we shall give, temporarily. But we will not be underestimated. After the session, the humans were escorted to a side chamber for their own discussions. Lyra, the young engineer, paced nervously. Commander, are we just going to follow these rules? They clearly want to keep us weak. Alara shook her head. We follow what we must for now, but we do not surrender our spirit. Our colonies, our people, our technology. They are ours to protect. If they attempt more, they will learn that humanity does not bow lightly. Across the council chambers, some aliens whispered among themselves. A few were truly cautious. They had watched humans for decades, always dismissed them as a minor species, but there was something different now. Humans had resolve, and their intelligence and creativity were far more than anyone had expected. Meanwhile, Earth's intelligence networks were not idle. Reports came in quickly. Certain council factions were preparing to seize control of human colonies by subtle political and logistical means. These were not overt attacks. They were bureaucratic, insidious, and designed to be invisible until it was too late. Alara received the intelligence brief in her quarters. She read through each page carefully, her mind analyzing every potential scenario. They plan to take our colonies quietly, she murmured. They assume humans will comply. They assume we are predictable. Kale, reading over her shoulder, frowned. Predictable? We're anything but predictable. Alara tapped a finger on the report. Exactly. That is our advantage. They do not understand our willingness to act when necessary. We must prepare for every contingency, but we will not strike first yet. Patience now will make our response stronger later. The next morning, the humans were assigned to inspect a trading hub near the mining system of the energy crystal. On the surface, the work appeared routine, auditing shipments, verifying protocols, and ensuring council regulations were followed. But Alara noticed subtle signs that the aliens had underestimated humanity again. Certain security measures were outdated. Other systems were designed to detect only conventional strategies, not the innovative methods humans had developed over decades of conflict and survival. As her team worked, Alara kept an eye on the aliens operating around them. Some were unaware that the humans were quietly gathering intelligence, noting vulnerabilities. Others, curious observers, watched humans carefully, trying to learn how they managed operations with precision, calmness, and creativity. Kyle spoke quietly to her. Commander, they really believe we will just follow the rules. They think we are harmless. Alara smiled faintly. Let them think that. The moment they overreach, they will see our strength. During the inspection, a sudden glitch occurred in one of the hub's energy relays. Aliens scrambled, blaming each other for the failure. But humans quickly assessed the situation, diagnosing the fault and stabilizing the system within minutes. The alien supervisors stared in surprise. You handled this efficiently, one murmured, clearly unsettled. Humans didn't just react, they adapted. Their ability to think quickly and act decisively was not something most council members had anticipated. Ilara's team returned to the station that evening, quietly reporting the results. The hub systems have weaknesses, Alara said. Minor, but exploitable if necessary. Not that we intend to attack, but knowing our environment is crucial. Knowledge is power. As night fell, humans gathered in their quarters. The station's artificial sky simulated a sunset, but the human team found little comfort in the artificial colors. They were far from Earth, surrounded by civilizations that didn't fully trust them, yet their spirit remained unbroken. Lyra spoke softly, almost to herself. Do you think they will actually try to take our colonies? Alara looked at her, her gaze steady and reassuring. If they do, they will learn the first lesson. Humans are not easily controlled. We adapt, we survive, and when necessary, we strike. Back in the council chambers, the whispers of concern grew louder. A few council members were beginning to understand that humans were not simply curious observers. They were clever, resourceful, and willing to defend themselves fiercely if provoked. The subtle arrogance that had defined the council's attitude toward humanity was beginning to waver, replaced by cautious respect, and perhaps even fear. Alara knew the next few days would be critical. The council's provocation was a test, a deliberate measure to see how humans would react. And humans, she reflected, had always risen strongest in moments of challenge. The galaxy would soon see that underestimating humanity was a dangerous mistake. As she gazed out at the stars, Alara made a silent promise to herself. We will show them what humans are capable of, not through brute force but through courage, intelligence, and unity. They have crossed the line. Soon they will understand that humanity does not bow quietly to injustice. The stars twinkled in the distance, vast and infinite. Yet humanity's presence in the galaxy, once so small and overlooked, was becoming impossible to ignore. The fragile peace that held the council together was being tested, not by any single human action but by the quiet, unwavering determination of a young species refusing to be dismissed. In the quiet of the observation deck, Kyle joined Alara. "Commander, what happens if they push us too far?" Alara's eyes gleamed. "Then they will see the strength of humans, their courage, their unity, their resolve. The galaxy has always underestimated us, but never again. Not now, not ever." Somewhere deep in the council chambers, whispers of caution grew. Some council members who had once laughed at the humans now wondered if they had misjudged them entirely. The seeds of respect and perhaps fear were planted. And humanity, patient but vigilant, prepared for the challenges ahead. The council had crossed the line. And when the time came, humans would respond. Not with panic, but with the power of a species that refused to be controlled, a species that would not be ignored. The galaxy had grown quiet in a way that felt unnatural, as if the stars themselves were holding their breath. For decades, the Galactic Council had maintained order through strict rules and careful oversight. But the humans, underestimated and often dismissed, had quietly prepared for the moment when patience would no longer suffice. Commander Alara Vance stood on the bridge of Horizon's Edge, her eyes scanning the holographic star map that stretched before her. The human fleet was small but technologically advanced, optimized for speed, stealth, and adaptability rather than sheer size. Every ship had been tested in simulations and real operations, ready for the mission that lay ahead. Lieutenant Cale Moreno approached her, a nervous excitement in his eyes. "Commander, are we really going to do this? It feels daring." Alara turned to him, her expression calm and resolute. "Yes, Cale. Daring is what defines humanity. The Council expects us to wait, to follow their rules blindly. But we are not blind, and we are not obedient in the face of injustice. Today we show them that humans are unpredictable and capable. The mission was precise. Human forces would disable key monitoring stations near their colonies, undermining the Council's ability to control or surveil human expansion. It was not an attack in the sense of destruction. The operation relied on skill, stealth, and technological ingenuity. Humans would prove their capability without unnecessary harm, demonstrating that intelligence and planning were as powerful as raw force. The fleet moved silently through the void, invisible to the sensors of the Council's outer patrols. Ships glided past asteroids and gas clouds, their engines humming in perfect synchronization. Alara watched every movement, every data readout, knowing that a single mistake could alert the Council and trigger a response. Kyle broke the silence, almost whispering. "It's remarkable. The Council doesn't even suspect us." Alara nodded. "That is their error. They have underestimated human intelligence and ingenuity. That is why they will never see us coming." As the fleet approached the first monitoring station, a massive structure orbiting a barren moon, Alara gave the order. "Deploy the drones. Non-lethal disruption only. Disable communications, obscure sensors, and retreat." From hidden compartments, sleek autonomous drones emerged. They moved with precision, bypassing defenses and infiltrating the station systems. Within minutes, the station sensors went dark. Its communication relays scrambled. The Council, watching from a distance, would see nothing until it was too late. Back on the bridge of Horizon's Edge, Alara allowed herself a faint smile. "Perfect. Cale, status report. All stations disabled as planned. No alerts triggered," Cale reported, His voice carried both relief and pride. The operation went exactly as we trained. Ilara's gaze shifted to the holographic map, noting the next stations to be reached. Proceed to the second station. Maintain stealth. Our objective is to prove that humans are not to be controlled. Across the galaxy, Council members began to notice anomalies. Sensor stations went offline without warning. Communication networks flickered. Panic did not rise immediately, but curiosity and later concern began to spread among the alien delegates. None suspected humanity at first. They assumed technical malfunctions, the inevitable errors of an imperfect system. But humans were already moving on. Each station was disabled with surgical precision, leaving no trace of human interference beyond the obvious loss of function. No lives were harmed. No weapons were fired. Yet the Council felt the ripple of disruption, a subtle but undeniable reminder that their control was not absolute. Meanwhile, human colonies watched in amazement as Council oversight faltered. Traders, engineers, and scientists found that previously impossible operations were now achievable. Resources could be transported faster. Systems could be expanded without immediate interference. Humanity had proven that ingenuity, planning, and courage could challenge even the oldest and most powerful institutions in the galaxy. Ilara convened her team in the fleet's command room. "This is more than a tactical operation," she said, her voice steady. "This is a message. Humanity is not a species to be underestimated. We do not obey when our survival and dignity are at stake. The Council will see our capability, and they will adjust their assumptions accordingly." Lyra, the young engineer, couldn't contain her excitement. "Commander, we're making history. We're showing the galaxy what humans can do." Ilara smiled faintly. "Yes, Lyra. But remember, our strength is not in pride. It is in precision, patience, and unity. Each step we take now shapes the future, and we must always be prepared for their response." By the third station, subtle alarms began to echo through Council communications. Some delegates grew uneasy, realizing that the outages were not random. Whispers spread like wildfire through the chambers. A new force was active. Something clever, something human. Ilara's fleet moved like shadows, each ship executing its role perfectly. Even when Council patrols approached unexpectedly, the humans adapted instantly, diverting sensors and employing decoys. Their ability to respond in real time amazed even the most experienced officers aboard the human fleet. Kyle couldn't help but admire the crew. "Commander, they're fast learners. Each patrol we encounter, they fail to anticipate our maneuvers. They underestimate human adaptability." Ilara nodded. "Exactly. That is the advantage they cannot comprehend. Other species rely on rules, predictability, and centuries of tradition. Humans rely on ingenuity, courage, and quick thinking. That combination is their greatest blind spot." As night, or the station's simulated equivalent, fell, the human fleet returned to a hidden base on the edge of the system. No alarms, no casualties, no damage beyond the intended disruptions. The team gathered in the command room, a sense of quiet triumph settling over them. Ilara addressed them, her voice filled with calm authority. "We have completed the first phase. We have proven that humans are capable of action the Council did not anticipate. But this is only the beginning. They will respond. When they do, we must be ready. Remember, we act not from anger but from the principle that we will not be controlled unjustly." Kyle looked at her with respect and admiration. "Commander, it's remarkable. We've changed the perception of humanity in the galaxy already." Ilara's gaze softened briefly, then sharpened again. "Yes, Kale, but perception alone is not enough. Our actions must be consistent, precise, and ethical. That is what defines humanity's strength. We prove not through force, but through ingenuity and courage." Meanwhile, in the Council chambers, the mood had shifted. Whispers turned to heated debate. "It cannot be random," one alien delegate said, its multiple eyes narrowing. "Systems offline, sensors scrambled. This is deliberate," another replied. "But who could execute such precise coordination without detection? It is impossible for a species so young." A third voice, calmer and more cautious, said, "Perhaps we have underestimated humans. Perhaps they are capable of far more than we imagined." The realization began to dawn. Humans were not the predictable, compliant species they had assumed. They were capable, clever, and daring. They could act with precision and intelligence in ways the Council had never anticipated. Back in the human fleet, Celebrations were quiet but sincere. Crew members exchanged smiles and nods of satisfaction. They had accomplished something remarkable, not destruction, not conquest, but proof of human ingenuity, coordination, and courage. Alara stood alone on the observation deck of Horizon's Edge, gazing at the stars. She whispered softly to herself, "They will remember this. The galaxy has seen a glimpse of humanity's capability, and when the time comes, they will understand that we cannot be dismissed." The stars outside twinkled as if in agreement. Humanity had taken its first bold step on the galactic stage, showing that while they were still young as a species, their spirit, creativity, and courage made them a force unlike any other. The Council may have crossed the line, thinking humans would wait, obey, or falter, but humanity had already responded with precision, intelligence, and restraint, and this was only the beginning. The galaxy was tense. The Council's fleets had retreated temporarily, stunned by humanity's unexpected ingenuity. But their pride would not allow them to ignore humans for long. The Council knew that the young species could no longer be treated as weak or obedient. Humanity had proven they could think, adapt, and act when necessary, and that realization sparked fear among many of the older species. Commander Ilara Vance stood on the bridge of Horizon's Edge, staring at the star map that showed the position of the Council warship that had been causing disruptions near human colonies. It was a massive vessel built for speed, defense, and authority. To the Council, it represented power. To humans, it was an opportunity. Lieutenant Cale Moreno, standing beside her, asked nervously, "Commander, we're seriously going to engage it? It's huge. They must know how capable it is." Ilara's expression was calm but determined. "We are not engaging blindly, Cale. We will capture it, not destroy it. We need leverage. The Council must understand that humanity cannot be ignored or controlled without consequence." The plan was precise. Using stealth technology, the human fleet approached the warship under the cover of a dense asteroid field. Drones were deployed to disable its external communication systems, while specialized boarding pods prepared to infiltrate the ship's interior. Every human knew their role and executed it with discipline and care. Kyle watched the warship loom closer on the holographic display. "It's enormous. I can't believe we're actually doing this." Ilara gave a faint smile. "It's not about size, Cale. It's about strategy, precision, and courage. Remember that. Humans do not rely on power alone. We rely on intelligence, adaptability, and unity." As the fleet reached the warship, the drones moved silently, slipping past shields and countermeasures. Communication arrays went dark and navigation sensors faltered. The Council crew aboard the warship scrambled, unaware of the coordinated infiltration happening just beyond their perception. Inside the ship, human boarding teams moved quickly and efficiently. They neutralized the ship's security systems without harming anyone, using specialized tools designed to disable rather than destroy. Their movements were precise, practiced, and calm, reflecting the years of preparation that had gone into this moment. Ilara led a small team into the command center of the warship. The Council officers were surprised and off guard, unable to respond immediately. They stared at the humans, a mixture of disbelief and fear in their eyes. Humanity, small in number but formidable in skill, had taken control without bloodshed. Ilara's voice echoed clearly through the command center. "Council officers, we are not here to destroy. We are here to send a message. Humanity will not be controlled unjustly. We demand recognition of our rights, respect for our colonies, and acknowledgement of our capabilities." Some Council officers tried to speak, but their voices faltered under the weight of the situation. They had underestimated the humans entirely, assuming the young species would comply or retreat. Now they faced the consequences of their arrogance. Ilara continued, her gaze steady. "Your fleets and technology are impressive, but what you did not expect and could not predict is the ingenuity, courage, and determination of humanity. We adapt, we overcome, and we will not bow to unjust authority." Back on Horizon's Edge, Cale monitored communications, watching the ripple of confusion spread through the Council networks. "Commander, they're panicking. They didn't think we could do this. They didn't expect humans to capture one of their warships." Ilara's eyes remained fixed on the holographic display. "Exactly. They assumed we were predictable. That assumption has cost them credibility. Now they must negotiate. Now they must respect us." On the captured warship, Council officers debated furiously. How could this happen? Our security systems, our fleet. They should not have been able to do this. One officer exclaimed. Another calmer voice interjected. Perhaps we have underestimated humanity. Far too long. They are clever, resourceful, and united. This is a species we cannot ignore. Meanwhile, Ilara prepared a formal message to the Council, outlining humanity's demands, fair treatment, recognition as equals, and guarantees for their colony's independence. She emphasized diplomacy, clarity, and principle. Humans were not seeking revenge. They were asserting their rights and demonstrating the strength of their intelligence and unity. Kyle watched her, impressed by her calm authority. Commander, this is incredible. We're forcing the Council to reconsider without a single life lost. Ilara nodded. That is the essence of human strength, Kale. We prove our capabilities through courage, strategy, and moral resolve. Violence is not always the answer. Intelligence and unity can achieve far more. As the Council received the message, a tense silence fell over their chambers. Alien delegates debated quietly, realizing that their earlier assumptions about humans had been completely wrong. Some acknowledged the young species' ingenuity, while others argued that humanity must still be constrained. But even those resistant voices could no longer dismiss humans as weak or inconsequential. On the captured warship, humans maintained control with professionalism and care. They ensured the crew remained safe while demonstrating that the humans could act decisively and effectively. This action, unlike any the Council had seen, shifted the balance of perception across the galaxy. Humanity had moved from underestimated observers to formidable players capable of strategic brilliance. Ilara addressed the crew of the captured ship. We hold this vessel not to punish, but to demonstrate principle. Humanity demands respect and fairness. We act with intelligence, precision, and moral clarity. Remember that. That is what makes us strong. Lyra, observing from the command center, whispered to Kale, Commander, this is historic. We're showing the galaxy what humans are capable of. Not just technology, but courage and integrity. Ilara's gaze remained steady. Exactly. That is the true strength of humanity. We can act decisively when needed, but we do so with purpose and ethics. That is why we endure and succeed. As negotiations began, the Council realized that humanity could not be intimidated, controlled, or underestimated. The captured warship served as both a symbol and a reminder. Humans were clever, resourceful, and united. They would not be ignored or dismissed. Back on Horizon's edge, the fleet maintained a defensive perimeter around the captured vessel, ready to respond if necessary. But Ilara knew that diplomacy would now take precedence. The Council had been forced to confront the reality of human ingenuity, courage, and moral resolve. The first formal meeting between human and Council representatives took place aboard a neutral station. Ilara presented humanity's position with calm authority, emphasizing fairness, respect, and recognition. The Council listened, surprised by the clarity and reason in her words. Some delegates still resisted, but even they could not ignore the human demonstration. The combination of strategic brilliance, moral clarity, and courage had shifted the balance. Humanity had forced the Council to rethink their assumptions, to see humans not as impulsive observers, but as equal participants in galactic affairs. After hours of discussion, an agreement was reached. The Council would revoke oppressive regulations, recognize humanity as an equal member, and guarantee the independence of human colonies. The captured warship was returned with full honor, and the humans' actions were acknowledged as principled and strategic. Ilara stood on the observation deck of the neutral station, looking out at the stars. We have proven our capabilities, she said softly to herself. Not just in technology, not just in strategy, but in courage, unity, and moral clarity. Humanity will not be underestimated again. Kyle joined her, a smile of quiet pride on his face. Commander, we've done more than defend ourselves. We've changed the way the galaxy sees us. Ilara nodded, her eyes reflecting the endless stars. Yes, Kale, and this is only the beginning. The Council has learned that humans are a species that cannot be ignored. That lesson will resonate for generations. The stars outside seemed to twinkle in agreement. Humanity had turned the tide, proving that intelligence, courage, and unity were more powerful than arrogance or tradition. The galaxy had witnessed the turning point. Humans were no longer underdogs. They were equals, respected and capable of shaping their own destiny. And as the stars stretched endlessly across the void, humanity prepared for the future, knowing that they had taken the first decisive steps toward a legacy that would be remembered across the galaxy. The galaxy had grown tense. The subtle ripples caused by humanity's first strike were spreading through council networks, sending waves of unease among the alien delegates. The monitoring stations, once symbols of control, now lay offline or malfunctioning, and for the first time, the council faced a species whose unpredictability could not be ignored. Commander Ilara Vance stood on the bridge of Horizon's Edge, eyes fixed on the holographic display of nearby human colonies. Each planet, each station, had been prepared for potential retaliation, fortified not with overwhelming force but with precision and strategy. Humans had always thrived in situations where others expected them to fail. The Council's arrogance was their blind spot. Lieutenant Kale Moreno approached her, concern shadowing his features. "Commander, I've just received reports. The Council is mobilizing fleets to hit our colonies. They're taking this very seriously now." Ilara's eyes narrowed, but her voice remained calm. "Good, that is exactly what we expected. Let them come. They will see that humans do not retreat when challenged. We adapt, we innovate, and we act together." The Council fleets were vast, built over centuries with advanced technology and disciplined crews. Yet they had relied on predictability and conformity. Humans, however, were masters of improvisation. Their defenses were unlike anything the Council had encountered. Autonomous drones, adaptive shields, and tactical strategies designed to anticipate and counter conventional attacks. As the first Council fleet approached the human colonies, sensors lit up on the human command systems. Horizon's Edge and accompanying ships adjusted positions instantly. Ilara analyzed the incoming data, her mind calculating every possibility. "Deploy the drones," she ordered. "Target their sensors first. We are not here to destroy, only to defend, but we must be unyielding." Swarms of drones launched from hidden compartments invisible to the Council's long-range sensors. They disabled targeting systems, scrambled communications, and created false signals that misled the attacking fleet. Human engineers worked tirelessly to anticipate each move, adapting the strategy in real time. Kale watched in amazement. "They can't believe what's happening. Every move we make, it's completely unexpected." Ilara smiled faintly. "That is the point. Predictable systems fail against unpredictable minds. The Council has always measured power in size, age, and tradition. But humans measure power in creativity, courage, and resolve." The first skirmish began near the planet Aurealis IV, a human colony equipped with smart defenses that blended technology with strategic design. When the Council fleet approached, it encountered automated defense barriers that created diversions, forcing the alien ships into carefully orchestrated paths that neutralized their initial advantage. On the surface, engineers and scientists monitored the situation, ready to support the defense. Civilians, though tense, followed protocols and remained calm. Humanity had prepared not just for battle, but for unity under pressure, a trait the Council could not predict. Ilara coordinated every movement from the bridge. "Kale, focus on the southern approach. Lyra, deploy countermeasures to the eastern grid. Everyone else, monitor communications. We anticipate, we adapt, and we overcome." The Council's attack began to falter. Ships struggled to find valid targets as human defenses rerouted their paths, scrambled their sensors, and forced them to retreat repeatedly. The attacking fleet had numbers, but humans had strategy. Every maneuver was met with an unexpected counter. Every calculated strike with a human adaptation that left the Council officers stunned. In the Council chambers, panic and disbelief spread. "How is this possible?" one delegate hissed. "Our fleet is technologically superior. Yet they adapt faster than expected. This is beyond calculation," another replied, voice shaking. "They are clever, far too clever. We underestimated them completely." Ilara, observing the data in real time, allowed herself a moment of quiet satisfaction. Humans were not only defending their colonies, they were teaching the Council a lesson in humility. Not through aggression, but through intelligence, preparation, and quick thinking. Back on the bridge, Kale spoke with a mix of pride and amazement. "Commander, the Council, they've never seen this before. Not from any species. They don't know how to respond. Ilara's gaze was steady, eyes reflecting the lights of the holographic display. And that is why we succeed. They rely on conformity, on patterns. Humans are not bound by patterns. We improvise, adapt, and find solutions when none seem possible. That is our advantage. As the hours passed, the Council's fleet struggled to regroup. Each attempt to regain control was met with new human tactics. Decoy ships, electronic interference, and clever diversion strategies that saved countless lives while frustrating the alien officers. Every misstep by the Council highlighted a lesson they had long ignored. Intelligence, courage, and ingenuity cannot be suppressed by tradition or arrogance. On Aurealis IV, civilians watched the events unfold with growing admiration for their defenders. The human fleet and colonies had turned a potentially catastrophic attack into a demonstration of strategy and coordination. Children, students, and workers alike saw the true strength of their species. A unity of mind and spirit that could face overwhelming odds with calm determination. Ilara convened her team once more. We have proven our capability, but we cannot become complacent. The Council will learn from this and they will attempt new strategies. We must continue to adapt, to innovate, and to lead by example. Humanity's reputation depends on every choice we make. Lyra nodded, inspired. Commander, we've done more than defend our colonies. We've shown the galaxy that humans cannot be underestimated. Ilara smiled faintly. Yes, Lyra, and that is only the beginning. The Council must now recognize what we have known all along. Humans survive, humans adapt, and humans endure. Across the Council chambers, the whispers of concern became an undeniable murmur of caution. Alien delegates who had once laughed at humanity now spoke quietly of respect, even fear. The humans had demonstrated not just technical skill, but moral resolve and courage, qualities that could not be replicated or bought. In the quiet of her quarters aboard Horizon's Edge, Ilara reflected on the day's events. They see our ships, our technology, and our tactics, she murmured to herself. But what truly makes humanity strong is our spirit. They cannot copy it, cannot predict it, cannot control it, and that is why we endure. As the galaxy seemed to exhale in response to the human victories, the fragile peace that had held the Council together showed signs of strain. Some delegates now advocated for diplomacy. Recognizing that aggressive tactics might backfire, others remained stubborn, unwilling to acknowledge the growing power of a species they had long dismissed. Ilara knew the next days would bring further tests. The Council's pride would push them to act again, but humanity was ready. They had shown intelligence, courage, and adaptability, turning what might have been a defeat into a lesson for the galaxy. Standing once more on the observation deck, she gazed at the stars. Let them test us again, she whispered. We are ready. Humanity is ready. And the galaxy will remember that the young species who dared to stand, to think, and to act, will never be controlled unjustly. The stars twinkled silently, witnesses to the ingenuity and spirit of humanity. The Council had underestimated them, and that mistake would shape the galaxy for generations to come. Humanity had not only survived, they had proven that their courage and cleverness could overcome even the most powerful institutions in the galaxy. And in that quiet, unyielding determination, the seeds of future victories and the respect of the galaxy had been sown.